Alright guys, time for another Guild Wars 2 video. It's been a little while. I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft recently, but I realized that they did do some changes to... Looks like someone already cleared the ads out here. They did do some changes to the Guardians since I have made my last video. There's a couple of cool new traits, or at least one cool new trait that I do want to add to this build and just, update with that new, those new changes. So, same exact thing as before. If you guys watched the previous Hammer Guardian build, all the Hammer Guardian is really doing is using the auto attack chain of the Hammer 1 to drop symbols of protection, and then you gain a bunch of bonuses based off of those symbols. So, it's not a very difficult build. It's extremely noob friendly. As you can see, the champion avatar of Balthazar isn't like a super hard, boss content, but people do struggle on this boss, and I just kind of wanted to show that the tankiness of the build is quite high. You have okay damage, not amazing, but okay damage, good enough to kill things within a reasonable amount of time solo. And you basically never struggle at all. Pretty much anything in the game that's like open world content, etc., is pretty trivial as this build. And not only is it trivial, but I think it's cool. I like the theme a lot. Guardian and like paladin priest type stuff has always been my favorite. Very angelic. Obviously with Guild Wars, a lot of your looks is not really your class, but a lot of it is the fashion that you wear. But we're going to easily kill this Balthazar hero point, and I'll go back to the same spot that I was at in the previous video. Kind of do like this, like a mirror of the last video. So how did I do that? Well, I am now running a Ascended set. I think last time I was running my Exotic set. I just forgot to swap, but we're recording, so might as well go with this. We're running the Cleric stats, Power, Toughness, and Healing Power with the Superior Rune of Fireworks. Just like before, Power, Toughness, Healing Power is kind of like iconic, Paladin Guardian style stats. That's why I did it. You can run this with like a boosted character. When you buy new expansions, you get the level 80 boost. I think you get a full set of Celestial gear, both just the regular armor, but also weapons and accessories. Celestial gear will work. I prefer the Cleric stats myself. You get a lot more healing power out of it. Relatively the same damage, relatively the same tankiness, but the healing power is much higher. So like for group content and just thematically, I really like Clerics. Also, Clerics is really, really inexpensive. It's less than a gold per piece on the trading post. If you were to just hit max level, go buy the gear, you're not going to spend more than like 5 to 10 gold across all the different pieces you need for that. Each rune of Fireworks, I think, is a little bit less than 1 gold. I'm not exactly sure. We can actually check right now for you guys. Let's look this up. What is it actually going to cost you? Superior Rune of Fireworks. I think you can just type this in. It'll show up. Yeah, okay. So 98 silver. Basically a gold for each one. So that's 6. So about 6 gold for your set of runes. As for the weapons, same thing. Cleric stats. The sigils that I'm running, there are cheaper options than this for sure. You should not need this to run the build, but when you kind of get everything in order, the best version of this build is, as you see here, in my opinion, Superior Sigil of Rage and Superior Sigil of Strength. Alternatively, there are other ways, other sigils that grant you more quickness or more might, but this is a kind of like a best of both worlds. And I've chosen for Rage in order to kind of give myself that initial burst of quickness so I can set up my auto attack swings and get the first symbol down faster. So that's what I'm running. In terms of the offhand weapon, you really can choose whatever you want. I really like the staff because it is not only a thematic weapon, but also the abilities that you get on the staff are very good for AoE ranged. So when you're in like a group, if you're doing meta events or something, you can tag things from range with the staff. You also get the swiftness symbol there for doing group swiftness, which you also have in your advance. And then the group heal and might generation out of the empower. So there's lots of just cool things about staff that I like, but you can run any weapon combination you want in your offhand for sure. There's really nothing you have to do because everything revolves around the hammer. When you're fighting, you're just using your hammer. Okay, so that's the stats and the gear. How about the build? So, same thing as before, except there are some new talents we're going to touch on. So, Zeal, Honor, Radiance. We're running Wrathful Spirit, instead of Zealous Scepter now, because we are activating our Virtue 1 pretty much just off cooldown as much as possible. So that means we're not gaining the passive effect as much, so we're not getting the might from that as much. So Wrathful Spirit lets us upkeep our resolution and our fury uptime even more than before. The symbols inflicting vulnerability, that's the like bread and butter of the build. Your symbols, you're going to be dropping them so much with this build that they're going to be stacking the vulnerability very, very, very fast. The Zealous Blade or Renewing Splendor are both good options. Zealous Blade for more power. We're not using a great sword to fight our enemies, so we're not gaining the additional 120, but the first 120 number you see is going to be a permanent bonus to you just for having this talent, so that's why we take that. Alternatively, you could run Renewing Splendor, gaining healing every time you drop a light field. The hammer auto attack is dropping a light field, and then all the other symbols we're dropping are also light fields. The Ring of Warding is also a light field. So you're getting a lot of healing off of this. If you need the healing, if you're doing something really hard like Legendary Bounties or something, you could take this and forego that 120 power. So just you have two options there. This one we don't ever take because we don't need condition damage at all. Our burning is basically negligible in this build. So don't take that. But these are two good options. Symbols are increasing your damage whenever you hit a foe, stacking up to 5 times for a 5% damage increase. Awesome. And here's the new guy. So Furious Focus. Your strike damage and movement speed are increased while you have Fury. I don't really know when they added this. I just know that it's different from when I last did my build. So I don't know what patch it was, but I like this trait a lot. It's really cool, and it adds just another thing to think about when you press your Virtue, which is great. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Damage increased by 10% when you have Fury. Awesome. Movement speed also is increased when you have Fury, so basically movement speed the same as Swiftness movement speed, so Fury is basically Swiftness now also. And then you are dropping this Lesser Symbol of Blades to give yourself that Fury and those symbol synergies when you are pressing your Virtue Skill 1. So that's why we're front-loading our combo with our Virtue Skill 1. It's also a button that does not have any cast time, so you can cast this while doing other things, so we can cast this while swinging our hammer, which is very important. Anything we can do while swinging our hammer and not interrupting our hammer swings is great. So that's why our shouts are really nice, these two shouts, but then now also the Virtue of Justice and your other virtues as well. But Virtue of Justice specifically for that synergy there with the Furious Focus. Pretty cool. So, Honor. Gain Vigor at the end of your dodge roll. Amazing. This build has so much dodging, it's insane. Lesser Symbol of Protection. The reason we're taking this is because it's the only good option. These two are basically pointless. You could take the protective Reviver if you're in group content, so you can revive people easier and create that dome, but in solo content we're not reviving. And then also you're gaining an additional Symbol of Protection when you cast your heal. So pretty decent, not bad. Symbol basically synergies are just what we're looking for. So the end of your dodge roll heals nearby allies. You are included in that, so your dodge becomes a little mini heal for yourself. Awesome. Grant might to nearby allies when you critically strike. This is one of the ways we upkeep our might on ourselves. You do gain a little bit of group utility this way as well. Concentration from this trait is not too bad, and then healing when your Aegis procs is also not that bad. But I would say that the might generation is better for your solo play, so I would recommend empowering might for this. Your Virtue Skill 2 passive also regenerates endurance. Super awesome. Just means, again, this coupled with the vigor you gain at the end of your dodge roll from the Vigorous Precision, we're just gaining a ton of endurance regeneration, which means we're dodging all the time, which is part of why the Relic of Rivers is so nice. If you can't get a Relic of Rivers, you don't have the expansion for it, which is Janthir Wilds, I believe, don't sweat it. There's lots of other good relics you can take, like Relic of the Trooper or Relic of the Brawler, since we have a lot of access to the Protection and Resolution boons. But Relic of Rivers is just a really nice relic, and it gives you that alacrity, which allows you to have your skills off cooldown more often. It's not game-breaking, but I just prefer Relic of Rivers when I'm doing solo content, but I think that Brawler and Trooper are decent options as well. Okay, where was I? Yeah, regenerating endurance. Okay, symbols are improved and heal allies. So this is a big part of our survivability. We're stacking those symbols, so many on the ground at once, so we're gaining each healing counts. So it's not like you only get this passive one time. If you stack a bunch of symbols, that healing stacks up, and you get a bunch of regeneration from this trait alone. Lastly, we have Radiance. Gain a light aura and blind nearby foes when you activate Virtue Skill 1. Fine. We don't really care about this too much. We're just a nice little extra passive bonus to have. One thing I will note is the light aura gives you minus 10% incoming condition damage, which is awesome. That paired with Resolution, which is a boon we have high access to, which also reduces condition damage on us, means that even though we don't have a ton of condition cleanse, the conditions that are on us don't hit super hard, so we can combat conditions that way. Gain resolution when using a heal skill. 20-second internal cooldown. We are using a 20-second heal, so every time you hit your heal, you'll be gaining your resolution 10 seconds plus a resolution from just that. So that's a 50% uptime on resolution just from hitting your heal skill alone. Your Virtue Skill 1 is renewed when you kill a foe. Cool, just a little passive there. Strike damage is increased while you have resolution. So this basically is kind of the same as our Lesser Symbol of Blades passive, gaining the 10% damage increase when we have Fury. Now you have 10% damage increase when we have Resolution, plus the 10% damage or the 5% damage increase from our Symbolic Avenger. So there's a lot of damage bonuses that we kind of upkeep just through our talents here, which is part of where we get all of our damage from. Attacks against burning foes have an increased chance to critically hit. Sure, fine. We have decent access to burning because we're a guardian through our virtue. That gives us a 10% increased critical hit chance. And then our ferocity is increased. That's nice. We don't have any ferocity or crit chance from our stats, like our gear. So we're gaining all of our ferocity and critical strike chance from our boons and our traits. This is the last one, kind of to touch on what I was talking about. This is how we're getting all that critical strike chance. Resolution increases your critical strike chance, and grants you might each interval. So basically, Resolution is now Fury. Fury is now Swiftness. 10% damage when you have Fury. 10% damage when you have Resolution. Might ticking every 1 second when you have Resolution on you. Might every 1 second when you critically hit an enemy. So that's where we're getting all this power and offense from, is all from our traits. Almost 100% from our traits. We have power in our stats, but other than that, toughness and healing power, right? So we're getting a bunch of our defense, a bunch of our offense. Everything is just really, really, really synergistic traits in the build here, okay? I'll go over the optional abilities really quick, and then I'll let the video end there. Litany of Wrath is just, I think, the best heal. Since we have all these stacking symbols on the ground, when you pop your Litany of Wrath, you get healed based off the damage that you deal. So the symbols being on the ground is doing all that damage. When you pop your heal, you have this long period of time, 6 seconds, where you're basically immortal. You're constantly dealing damage to your symbols. You get that full Litany of Wrath, so you're basically immune for 6 seconds, basically. Really, really strong, and on a very short cooldown. Bane Signet for some passive power increase, and then crucial when you need it, you want crowd control in solo content, because you're going to be breaking the bars of some of these bosses, like Avatar Balthazar, lots of other things in the open world. It's going to be beneficial to you to break the blue break bars of the enemies, so having access to some crowd control is pretty important. There are other ways to get it, but I just like the Bane Signet personally the most. Stand Your Ground is just a fantastic button. It gives you resolution, which plays to your trait synergies, gives you a stun break, gives you stability, and is on a very low cooldown, and you apply those bonuses to your allies as well. So if you are running, group content, this is a very, very good button in general. So, very strong. This is kind of like your flex spot in my opinion. I would consider Bane Signet also to be a flex, but I just think it's a really nice ability. Advance is great because it gives you 100% swiftness uptime, which is just great in open world. And then also the Aegis, which procs your Wrathful Spirit talent here. But Aegis can also just be super important for solo content because it's an instant cast button that doesn't require you to have any kind of a cast time. It doesn't interrupt any of your other things you're doing, like dodge rolling or your hammer auto attacks or anything like that. You can just press this when you need it, and it can block very important big hits. Like if a boss is doing a tail swipe or a knockback or something that's going to be very detrimental to you, knock you down, knock you off of a platform, something like that. You can time it well with a Aegis from Advance and block that. You get 2 charge of this too, so 2 instant cast blocks when you need it. It's very, very underrated in my opinion, and it procs your Wrathful Spirit, like I said. Then the Feel My Wrath. We don't have very much access to quickness. We have the Sigil on our hammer, and then this is our other quickness generation ability. This is nice because in group content, sometimes people aren't running quickness builds, you can give a little boost to your team that way. It's not amazing, not super high uptime, but a little boost is always good. And then the Fury uptime from this is also noticeable. So we really only need this and our Virtue from the Furious Focus, and then our Aegis procs to get 100% Fury uptime. We don't worry about anything else. We have 100% resolution uptime. We have 100% protection uptime from our hammer, and our heal dropping the Blessed Symbol of Protection. We have 100% swiftness uptime. We have basically 25 permanent stacks of might when we're in combat from our various might generation sources. We have 100% fury, right? 25% permanent vulnerability stacks from our symbols on our enemies. So we have basically every boon you could possibly want, for the most part, on this build, and it's a core build. So that means you don't need any expansions for it. You don't need to buy fancy equipment with crazy stats. It's cleric stats, right? So I urge you guys to try this out. Go have fun, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.